She's not feeling well.
Okay,
Not feeling well.
ready?
Yes.
Good evening, the Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees regular meeting for 2/22/22, February 22nd, 2022 shall come to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart?
Here.
Trustee Monahan is excused. Clerk Vorba present. Dorchevitz?
Here.
Trustee Kermy?
Here.
Treasurer Clinton is excused. Supervisor Heisey?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Jerry Vorva, the clerk.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, tonight's approval of the agenda.
Mr. Supervisor,
Clerk,
I move for the approval of the agenda for Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022.
motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second? Second. Second by Trustee Dorchevitz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item D is the consent agenda. On item D2A, this is the resolution regarding the International Fire Code. Let the record show that the motion or proposed resolution will adopt by reference the 2021 International Fire Code with appendices. With appendices. So we're adding that because there's appendices attached to the fire code. So we want to make sure that everything is bundled happily.
Mr. Supervisor.
Well,
I have some
okay.
questions.
If it's on the consent agenda, do we still do a motion on it?
Yes.
Well, we vote on a motion that just encompasses all the things that would normally require a formal vote.
Yeah,
So we're adopting that resolution as amended.
yeah.
So the clerk's office will make that change.
So D3A, I have some questions on that.
Yeah, Ginger?
Has Chief Tinnerington made an announcement that he's retiring and hasn't told us? Because that's what you're making these adjustments, assuming he's retired.
He plans to retire in early May.
So he's giving you notice.
Yes.
So now we have notice that he's retiring? It's kind of a bizarre way to
Yes.
do it, is in this, I mean,
Adjustments aren't related to
Well, why
the
does it say
chief's
that?
retirement.
it says right here, it does.
There's a police officer that retired in addition to a wage adjustment for the chief as a result of that payroll issue that we had. There was apparently a payroll issue, a clerical error that was made in 2020 when the chief went to part-time. He returned to a full-time status, and when his hourly rate was applied back towards his salary was put in for less than the actual salary of the chief. So this adjustment that you're seeing for the police department in the amount of $53,100 is $35,600 as a retirement payout for the officer that left.
That was John Brothers.
$17,500 for back pay for 2020 and 2021, in addition to amending the budget for 22 to get us through payroll for the entire fiscal year of 22.
So we're making adjustments to the chief of police pay because of 2020 time off?
Yes.
It was a clerical error that was made when he went back to full-time status. So while he was on a part-time status, he was being paid hourly at an hourly rate. I was notified, we were notified by the payroll and HR that there was an error made when he returned to full-time staff. The error was just recently discovered, and therefore, in order to pay the back pay for 20 and 21, and to make sure we have sufficient funds to pay his wages in 22, this budget amendment is not only pay the retiree officer that left, but also to amend the budget to include the amount of back pay and pay that needs to be paid out during fiscal year 22 for the chief.
Okay, so this is not
His payout, no.
his payout for
No.
retirement
No,
of sick pay, bank, and vacation.
no.
No, this is a clerical error to correct his salary as notified by the payroll and HR office.
In 2020, he was paid 20 hours a week, and then he was paid 20 hours out of long-term disability because he had a medical issue.
All right, good.
And then the other payout is for John Brothers, right?
Right.
That's for John Brothers, who we know has retired. Yeah.
Right?
Just because he talks so low.
Anything else?
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk?
I move the approval of the consent agenda for Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Dorchevitz. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next up is public comment, limited to 3 minutes. Anybody in the public would like to speak at this time? We will also have public comment at the end of the meeting, and also on individual agenda items if they are germane to that particular topic. All right, I'm going to move on to new business. Item F1 is the Inn at St. John's PUD amendment. We have representatives here from the Inn at St. John's, and Nani Wolf is here from McKenna. She's substituting for Laura Haw tonight. So, gentlemen, come on down. We've got you all plugged in here, and you can tell us what your project is. This is golf night, by the way, at Plymouth Township. We were really hoping, just as an aside, we were really hoping that Treasurer Clinton could join us tonight. We've been plotting this out because of his deep interest in the golf course here in Township, and but he's doing much better. He comes into the office a couple times a week now. He's doing much better, but tonight, just out of an abundance of caution, he felt it would be better for him to be at home. So I know he's watching us, and I know he's deeply interested in golf night here in Plymouth Township.
Great.
So we'll just need your name and your role for the record.
So my name is Francis Resendez. I'm the managing principal for Resendez Design Group out of Detroit. We're obviously the architects working with the St. John's Inn and developing multiple projects, two of which we'll be sharing with you tonight. One is we refer to as the Pavilion, and the other is the Ballroom. All right. So the first image I'm going to share with you is a Pavilion project. This is on the east side of the property. Currently, to the right of this image here, in this area here is the current entrance to the ballroom, and it has a canopy entrance here. But this is an evening view. Obviously, we have the bell tower and also the boiler stack in the distance, which is also an important kind of landmark piece. So this is obviously an illumination at night, new walkways. Currently, if you go there, this is a complete parking lot that is there today that'll be softened with greenery and obviously a green landscape. So we have a more restrictive drop-off lane that will come in. You'll be able to drop people off. Also pedestrian walkway from the majority of the parking lot that is wrapping the entire site.
Is that the actual grade? The approach grade? Looks a lot steeper than reality.
No, it is.
That is the grade.
No, this is new grade. So keep in mind that when you came out of the current ballroom, the parking lot is sloping about 8 feet towards the main road. So actually the ballroom, and obviously to be level, it feels going to feel more almost like the Parthenon sitting on the little hill with grading going up to it of about 8 feet. So part of the design of the building is actually being built on concrete piers, suspended with a slab, and then basically removing in earth. Yeah.
So that is that glassed in, the pavilion?
The pavilion is 3/4 glass on 3 sides, being done with nano-walls, which is a collapsing wall system that it's a 4-season space, it's heated and cooled, and basically can be completely opened, looking out onto the course, or completely closed. And I'll show you that in some further images. Obviously, we have a location map where I think everybody here knows where it is. So the pavilion is building B here. This is where all the current parking is. There's a entry road that will come in, drop people off, and then continue on and out. So the new pavilion is on direct access to the current entryway, which we're rebuilding the canopy, getting a little bit more height so that people don't necessarily hit it from 10 feet and under. obviously is projecting in a southeast direction. And the three sides that'll open up with glass with an exterior terrace on all sides, so that this parking that I was showing, that I was referring to earlier, people can park here and then basically walk up. And the road is intentionally reduced here for a single car, and then opens up to 2 cars for drop-off, so someone can get out on the right-hand side and another car can simply go around.
Where is the current entrance to the hotel on that drawing?
Permanent entrance?
The current one.
Current. So the current entrance, to get my bearing here, is right here. So you come right through here, there's a canopy right there. Yeah, yours is a little stronger than mine. Yeah. And that's from another 30 feet. So yes, so the majority of the entrance is here. So right now, I mean, most of this is, you know, unless you're literally driving around the facility, you're not going to really know that what is there unless you're going to a specific ballroom event. All right. So a little bit more zoomed in. So what's important to kind of keep in reference as I present these to you is 2, we call them the Y buildings, which are the former dormitory buildings, which is this one here in the shape of the Y, an inverted Y, and the same thing here. So we have a west and an east, and then the A building, it was a former retreat building, has a green roof on it. So the pavilion, again, you see it a little bit closer, is about 5,000 square feet of space. And then the ballroom is really an infill of a partial courtyard, which was really, you know, to most people wouldn't even know it existed. But we are still retaining a courtyard just north of the proposed ballroom because there's an east-west axis that again is relatively unused by the general public at this time, but this will completely activate the entire facility because if you came from the main hotel entrance, you'd be coming up this primary courtyard here that has a water feature, and you would be coming down and entering at this point. So this would split off into the pavilion building, or you'd continue on down and wrap around and then basically enter what will be a new lobby to the ballroom. And then this perimeter road, which is again, more of a currently of a service road, will really create a whole new formal entryway into the ballroom. So we took both Y buildings and basically what I refer to as hugged the new ballroom and basically refurbished the adaptive reuse of the existing dormitories into all the support amenities for this new ballroom, which is approximately 14 to 15,000 square feet. So I'm going to take you very quickly through those because I know you'll probably want to see the eye candy a little bit more than plans, but this will help you understand how these dormitory buildings are being repurposed because of the varying contours of the land. As you come from the east side here to the west, part of the lower level wings are going to be the new golf cart, I should say, storage areas. So we're moving some of those facilities into the existing real estate. Again, most of these areas are all going to be refurbished in the lower level. Since it's a 4-story building, we're building a new tunnel, underground tunnel that will connect from east to west because the kitchen will be the new kitchen will be on the west side, and these become critical service tunnels for the entire facility. Right now, this tunnel comes from the boiler house and kind of splits off and is really the kind of bloodline to all the buildings with all the infrastructure. So really what you're going to see here, and I think it's an interesting transformation because we're carving into the buildings and exposing some of the interiors to the outside. So if you you see obviously the light gray shaded areas are external, but right here you'll see this cloister and colonnade area that is wrapping the 2 sides. So we are carving into the existing buildings and creating the grand ballroom, which will have again a glass wall to the north that can completely open and look up. We have a whole new entrance lobby with a formal drop-off that will actually carve underneath the existing building. The kitchen is over here to the left, so it will service the main ballroom, which can be divided into 2 ballrooms. A smaller one, let's say a 2/3 and a 1/3. We have a stage in the center that become a focal point in the opposite direction, either looking south or looking north towards the bell tower. Service is all coming in off the side here for shipping and receiving, elevator shafts, new freight elevator that'll service all 4 floors. And over here, we're to the top right, the corridor is the corridor that connects to the rest of the hotel facility. And so these area right here, there's an elevator, and these are new washrooms that service the pavilion. And just to clarify, the pavilion does not have any toilet facilities. It's a large space. So you have a covered entryway that goes from the pavilion. They'll simply turn the corner and the washrooms are right around the corner inside the existing facility. The kind of a section cut diagram, we could refer to it. So picture none of this being here to the left of this building. These are the pretty basic dormitory buildings, but they were built, and we were pretty pleased with the structure at the time. These are all concrete frame buildings with concrete floors, but the new ballroom will be between the 2 buildings, and we're carving into it, which you'll see some more images of the colonnade. So we're removing sections of the entire floor to create this 2-story perimeter, so that the main dining space, if you wanted to go to the toilet facilities or get a drink at the bar, get your coat, whatever, all those are service spaces all happening inside the existing buildings. Second floor is going to be a pre-event space. We're carving a new grand staircase here that'll take you up to a large pre-event space on the second floor that basically will wrap. We have the kitchen at that, actually on white box space above the kitchen. And again, some of these spaces aren't completely programmed. It's a lot of real estate. Just 1 second back, you can this will be the grid pattern in the ceilings. And you can see here on either side, that's when we start to open up the 2-story spaces that we're carving into. The third floor basically becomes meeting rooms, gathering spaces, what have you. Again, mechanical that's serving the ballroom, so that's all remote. And we have some, again, undefined uses at this time, but again, as we develop it, we're refining it. Part of our process was to obtain our demolition permit so that we could basically uncover the unknowns as we develop drawings. And so this is very much a fast-track project, as you can appreciate. We're trying to finish this by February of next year. So inside or outside the courtyard, so this is the exterior wall of that main ballroom. These arches do not exist there today, so we're carving into it. And this cloister will continue all the way in and wrap around and then come out. And this is a courtyard space between on the far right here. I'm getting ahead of myself here. To the right, that is the existing south wall of the east-west corridor, again, which no one really appreciates or experiences because it's all just facing back of house. So there is not, in our opinion, going to be a back of house when we're done. It's all these facilities are kind of back to back, so the entire perimeter circulation road is fully experienced by the public.
Which way are we looking in?
So right now, you'd be looking southwest. Right now, I would be standing in a transitional space from the existing hotel corridor and working my way to the new facility. I'm just kind of rotating you a little bit more because again, back one. Again, this is an entryway here, but we have walls again like the pavilion that'll completely open up onto this. So really, whether you're having one large wedding or multiples, this is basically an outdoor breakout space. In the evenings, during the day, whatever. That's very much controlled. In the distance here, this opening is the only part of the building that is not closed. That's currently what is the accessibility to this, what was a former complete courtyard. Again, you'll see a ton of brickwork that's going to be done with all the detailing that's consistent with the entire facility. And we're just rotating a little bit more to kind of give you an idea what that means. The window system is to simulate a steel sash look. This wall here is about 15 feet tall. A little hard sometimes to understand scale. To the top right, that's where the bell tower, and this is the existing elevation that again will create an east-west access to this courtyard space. And it might be helpful, I'll go back to maybe some of the plans and I'll start to put some of this in context. So the pavilion building, like we talked about earlier, is about 5,000 square feet wrapped with outdoor terrace. You have the drop off, you come in. Again, this is all parking lot right now and everything's been shifted and moved around. Now, when you arrive at the top, basically this current canopy is there. This is a new canopy on the existing structure extending outward, a little vestibule area, and then the glass pavilion, which you can see. These are about 22-foot bays. So this is roughly about 100 feet by 45 feet. And again, you'll see the architecture when I get a little closer. The transition from the existing entryway to the ballroom will look similar to this. All the ceilings will be the kind of metal and wood composition between the kind of graphite, steel, wrought iron kind of detailing, consistent with a lot of ornamental bracketing, similar if you've been there, I'm sure in the atrium space, you'll kind of feel that same kind of atmosphere with kind of replicate historic doors that we're going to be using throughout the new construction.
There's no bath, but you have to walk outside to go to the bathroom.
That is
Right.
correct. Yeah, so
I mean-
the distance between those doors and those bathrooms is maybe like 60, 70 feet. Yeah.
I didn't quite mean it the way it came out.
No, I don't. That was intentional though, because I think we want to make this as a different kind of pristine space from all four sides.
The drop off, when we reviewed this at the planning commission last week, the roadway is intended to be just a drop off and not for cars to stack.
That is correct.
But if you're picking up, how do you prevent cars from stacking while they're waiting to pick somebody up?
So, right, so in the width of the road here, which is approximately 12 feet, you would have obviously a single car coming in. There's bollards here that when an event is really happening here, this is going to be managed with folks that can either pull the bollards up and control the traffic flow, because the intent is not to, if you're really here for a specific event, there's going to be folks that'll manage that and other people will be walking in. So it's not meant to be continuous, every single car come through here. But we don't want the cars packing the full length of this, so that's why it's narrow, then it opens up enough to get by, then continue on. It's really a management activity that's going to have to happen during those activities.
How many parking spaces are being added?
Question, Ryan, do you remember?
Well, because of the whole facility, other reworks and other. You have to go back like 5 or 6 slides, but where the new
You
ballroom,
don't need to go back.
so where the ballroom is now, or where it's going to be, there's going to be additional.
We've got a ton of ample parking, but I'll come back to that if I could. So again, the interiors of the space is meant to feel it's all fir, tongue and groove wood. It's a true plank with a metal, standing seam metal roof. The mattress is consistent with the language. There's cove lighting that'll be throughout. These are not the light fixtures hanging, but it's what sometimes we have in our CAD file, so it's what was simulated. But this entire floor is radiant heated. So we can either put all chairs, or we can, the whole thing can change. And then it has an outdoor terrace area here, like I said. So one important image, I'll bring it back to this one, is that you're seeing here with the doors all in the closed position. And then basically it could be completely open, and this thing basically will just glow. I think that was one of the, I forget from our last meeting, we're talking about the foot candles and illumination. It's more about what the building is going to bring from inside out than it is about light poles and standards outside. That was being, again, so all these just, they're completely open or closed. So you could have the breeze blowing by, you can open it up at different times of the year, right? It's really a true pavilion in that way. I'll leave them in the open position. How's that? And take any questions.
So on a sustainability front, is there any new technology to make less hard surface for parking, something that's permeable, that will allow water to seep through? Or is that not feasible in our climate? Is there any thought of that? And then the other part is, what are you doing for energy efficiency?
Well, the entire facility runs on steam and hot water. Every one of these buildings right now has a tunnel system that supplies either steam that's converted with inverters, heat exchangers, I should say, to hot water.
So you're using the old powerhouse?
We're using the old powerhouse. New boilers and technology certainly, being introduced, but there's no question hot water is still one of the most efficient, most comfortable sources of heat. The radiant system, both for snow melt around the perimeter of this, as well as the interiors, and any of the new construction that we're doing in the existing dormitories, if you can appreciate, we're all PTAC, what we call PTAC units, consume a ton of electricity, not very efficient. So all that's being taken out, that's all being converted to a hot water centralized system. So we have new air handlers, new chillers throughout, that basically new technology to create a single source of supply. They're 40, 50-year systems, not 20-year systems like, many more spec type buildings would have. So the infrastructure for this building is meant to look at the totality of that. As far as parking lots, I can tell you we've done numerous LEED certified projects where there's nothing better than just redirecting water to earth. These impervious parking surfaces are usually done only in very limited urban environments where there's not a whole lot of options. When you have this much green space to work with, shaping the earth to go where we either have retention or detention, there's nothing better than that. So we would only really be doing that if you had a very tight site where we've got no green space to work with or none of that. We're actually after both of these projects would be done, because we're only presenting two tonight, there's a lot more green space than was here before we started, because truthfully there was a lot more parking than was needed before these parking, because keep in mind these were dormitories, right? They were using a lot of water as well. There were tons of toilet rooms that we're demoing out, which are proving to be extremely well built. We've had probably 50 to 60 gentlemen working nonstop for 2.5 weeks to just demo one floor. I've never, we've got studs that are 3 feet on center that are literally a piece of wire, but the wall surface is 1.25 inches pure plaster. And it's not fun to demo. I bring that up only in the context that we're the bones of the existing buildings that we're keeping, and then utilizing that real estate and incorporating the adaptive reuse of the project in and of itself is about as green as you're going to get versus tearing these buildings down. So it starts with recycle, reuse. That landfill would have been immense, having to tear the buildings down and do, something else with all that material.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? John?
Real quick. Is there a realistic date, possibly by the end of this year, for completion and construction of the ballroom?
Before the end of the year?
It was February was the target.
No, so there's two, so let me clarify. There's two projects that we're talking about. The ballroom, we're just a little bit behind on the demo side because of what I explained a little earlier, but we're ramping up to 70+ people and machines. So the ballroom is scheduled for February of 23. The pavilion, our goal is to have it ready for August. So that's why we're here tonight, to make sure that we keep this
August of
thing-
what year?
August of this year. So we have committed, we have ordered, I know even we've committed to ordering materials. And you know, we've obviously met as a group with the township and others. No surprises here, so we wanted to obviously get out and ordered all the glass, and we've ordered steel, and we've ordered things. I mean, we know we don't have the final permit in our hands, but we're very confident of what we can do.
What's the supply chain like for materials now?
Well, I wouldn't say it's bad for everything. It's bad for some things. Mechanical is the most challenging. Labor is still challenging, without question. And we know that if we lock in key trades, and we're blessed to have a portfolio of subcontractors that we work with, so we're not out in the general marketplace. Now, we're also blessed that we have a wonderful philanthropist that is allowed to not necessarily have to go out to public bid to do this work. So we're handpicking the people that we know can deliver on time and not give us excuses.
Let me say two things. One, Pulte does good work. They're quality, they're known. But there's an idea that has been in the works for years, and it was originated with Mr. Don Sonnen and the Michigan Philharmonic Symphony Orchestra. And I'm talking about a ballroom with some respectable acoustics for a New Year's Eve Plymouth Township hosted celebration. The Michigan Philharmonic is an all-union 35-member symphony orchestra based here. And they would really love to do a grand opening with you. And I've been given permission by the executive director of that organization the past 14 years, and my wife for 44 years, to pass this information along. They would love to have a ballroom St. John New Year's Eve celebration hosted in your facility. So go for it, Jim. Yeah, well, December 31 is, I know, it's 10 months away.
It won't happen then.
It won't happen this year?
Well, let me first of all say, I think it's important to say, first of all, that the entire township has been wonderful to work with. We're pushing this as hard and as fast, and I think Laura and Kurt and everybody that we've talked to about getting approvals and getting in front of them, talking with Ken, and, you know, we want to be proactive. We're not trying, no surprises. And that's why we're here today, to get on this agenda, so we can get our permit for that pavilion, because if we can get our permit, then we're gonna break ground in March. I mean, literally 2 or 3 weeks from now, I'll have that parking lot ripped apart for that pavilion. So we're not waiting, you know, it's not on us. I've got a mandate to get this thing done. So
It's a natural occurrence, this New Year's Eve celebration, and it's a lot of synergy. And it's a very popular idea. So,
well, I know Mark has
onward and forward.
Mark has given us all the tools to do what we gotta do to get it done. So it's not on the. February, we.
Valentine.
Any other questions by the board?
Mr. Supervisor.
Well, hold on. So my question is for Paul Wegert. What's happening in the industry right now with the loss of Oakland Hills for banquets, weddings, et cetera?
We've reached out to them.
Okay.
Offered assistance with dates that we have available, so we've reached out to them.
Okay, I mean, I just, I think the Inn at St. John's and Oakland Hills and the Grand Hotel, these are just, you are among the crown jewels of Michigan. And I think we have you guys are continuing a very proud tradition, and we have a special responsibility to make sure that you offer the best product and service possible. So any other questions or comments by the
So the
board?
target market is weddings,
Corporate, golf?
oh, so corporate meetings and weddings.
That particular ballroom, the big ballroom, you'll have the
Do the
ability to
motion.
blackout to do presentations.
Okay.
So annual meetings, stockholders, things like that.
Any other questions by the board or the public at this time? All right, then I move to adopt resolution number 2022-02-22-11, authorizing approval of the amended planned unit development contract for the Inn at St. John's Golf Course and Banquet Center, 44005 5 Mile Road, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Is there a second? Seconded by Trustee Kermy. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Good luck. Next up, we have the annual presentation from Hilltop Golf Course by AMV Ventures. So that would be Tony Mosconi is here tonight. Tony, why don't you kick us off? We've had another great year at Hilltop, and we appreciate all the work that your guys have done. And let's see if we can go for 3 in a row, profitable years at Hilltop. It certainly is a lot better than when we found this 6 years ago, a lot better. So we've gone from losing money to making money for the taxpayers of Plymouth Township, and we certainly, my intent would be to take that profit and reinvest it in the course so that we can get even bigger returns in the future. So take it away.
Perfect. Tony Mosconi, 1586 Rockfield, Troy, Michigan. Try not to read verbatim. I feel like this is Woodstock. I'm the Who, and I just followed Jimi Hendrix. All right. Basically, Hilltop picked up where we left off in 2020. And if you remember back when I was here last year, I had downgraded our budget for 2021 considerably, thinking that that was a one-time anomaly kind of thing. However, I was proven wrong. With COVID lingering on with its many effects, golf overall, and specifically at Hilltop, we continued another year of record participation, and you'll see later in the numbers. We've seen the use of the golf course, to Kurt's point, double in nearly 3 years. If I remember off the top of my head, I think we were barely reaching, or the golf course was barely reaching $500,000 in gross revenue. Now we're near almost $1 million, believe it or not, gross revenue. All that good stuff, as everybody knows, we're talking about supply chain issues. Us, not necessarily supply chain issues, but labor issues. It's very, very difficult to hire people, whether it's inside the clubhouse or outside on the maintenance facility. So we sort of had to trim back some of the stuff that we did. So instead of doing a lot of projects, we've sort of trimmed down our project list and really focused on just maintaining the golf course as best we can for daily play.
So let me ask you, is it okay if we ask you some questions?
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
So I have a strange question, but what impact do you think that COVID had in a positive way because people didn't have anything else to do?
So from my 30 years of our golf experience, what I think has happened is like back in the day in the 90s where you had executives that worked for automotive and for pharmaceuticals back in the day. You could entertain guests during the day and come out and play golf, have a lunch, and write it off. And then there was a time with Lopez and GM where they started curtailing all that, and you weren't able to do that. Laws came down on pharmaceutical, entertainment, all that, and you literally would see the drop-off during the day. And then became a bunch of retirees playing different golf courses, not as many non-retirees. With COVID, all of a sudden, folks are starting to figure out that they can sneak out for 9 holes during the day and still do their stuff. And then more importantly, putting on my total sports hat, able to get home in time to help out, take the kids to practice or take them or to a game or go watch a game. So lo and behold now, I can still play golf with my buddies and then still be home in time for dinner and take care of the kids and help out and participate. I think that's what's happening, and that's why you'll see, and I spoke with Kurt about this, I really had dropped the budget, and then I came back a little bit thinking that That's still in play for 2022. People are still working from home. There's still that hybrid going on. So I still think we're going to see people sort of sneaking out for 9 holes or 18 holes and coming home. And then with St. John closing down for a year and a half, some of those leagues have already come over to us. So there's a big dynamic going on right now at this moment.
Interesting, thank you.
Yeah. And thanks to, as Kurt mentioned, last year, thanks to the township reinvesting some of those funds, we're able to do quite a few things, actually. We're able to update, improve the pump house at Hilltop. We're able to, the bunkers needed a lot of sand, so we're able to freshen up the bunkers, if you want to call it. We're able to do some cart path repairs. Later on down the line, you'll see what I'm talking about. We're able to extend, actually try out some recycled asphalt to see if we could do some recycled asphalt as a test to see if we can actually add some cart paths to the golf course. The goal would be down the road when we have some rain conditions early in the spring where the course maybe is not acceptable to carts. If we can extend the cart paths out, maybe we can allow carts in the golf course a little bit earlier, obviously generate a little bit more revenue at that time too. As we always have, number one thing is course playability. Which also goes with safety, and as I said from the get-go, there's a lot of trees on the golf course that were just planted too close together, that over time, over decades, if you want to call it, certain trees will survive and certain trees will die. And as they die, the limbs become dangerous, certain things become an issue that could cause harm to somebody. So we go through, or Doug goes through with his crew, and takes care of the limbs that are dead or about to die, trees that are dead or about to die. And then this year, or 2021, we took on the project of I think Doug was calling it limbing it up. We're removing limbs that were low, that stop people from finding their golf balls if they sprayed a shot. And then also at the same time, cart paths where you had limbs hanging over on the cart paths. And if somebody were to run into it or not paying attention. So we took care of most of that in 2021.
So have you made use of the Plymouth Township's new wood chipper?
We haven't got it on site yet because of labor issues during the summer, so.
So what are you doing with the limbs you're cutting?
We have them stored, ready to chip.
So hopefully this year, Chuck, we can get to it this year once we have some more people on staff. So right now they're
in the woods.
On the golf course, there's open areas on the golf course that are out of play that we have piles.
So as we're continuing to take care of those trees, one of the things that the tree roots have done is sometimes as just like roads or asphalt or driveways, they pop up on the asphalt. So we're able to use some of the funds from the township last year and grind some of those down to make the cart paths a little bit smoother. We're able to go through and some of the trees that we removed, take care of the stumps and remove some of the stumps and grind them down to the ground. Drain maintenance, as we continue to go through, the course still has that condition that early in the spring, when the course is wet, it just doesn't drain properly. There's existing drains, there's some areas that need new drains, so we're trying to go through and repair or replace the old drains that just have not been maintained for many, many years, and trying to get them fresh and ready to accept the water, and at the same time trying to identify spots that may need new drains, and then we'll add on the drains.
Can you water jet them instead of excavating them?
You want to come up? Sure.
Water jetting's faster versus digging them up.
The existing pipe won't handle any water jets or anything like that. It's a thin, like homeowner style pipe, plastic. So if we ran water jets through, I've spoken with the township people about using some of their equipment, and I've shown them the pipes, and they've said that they would just tear it up if they did that. So it's a good idea. I wish I could do it.
It'd save a lot of time, for sure.
So it has to be hard PVC to survive the water jet.
Yes.
All right.
Tee boxes, if you've been out there and played, we've added a few tee boxes, we've leveled some tee boxes, but to the point about labor, we just weren't able to, for instance, resod them as quickly as we would like to get them back into play. So hopefully this year, we're really trying to push. In the budget, I've adjusted the wages, we have adjusted the wages in order to try to get more folks to get hired onto the golf course in order to complete and get some of these projects either started or done So we'll see here in 2022 if we can make that happen.
What are you doing to get the word out of what you're looking for, that you're
We're
looking for?
just starting here shortly between our other golf course, Cattails, and Hilltop at the same time here to get folks out there. You know, at Cattails, we're open with the indoor simulators. At Hilltop, we're not yet. So there's that fine balance of putting the ad out, hiring people, but then you can't really bring them on for another couple months. So we just have to go through that process.
How about all those sports-minded children that come to your total
Yeah.
sports? Maybe they'll take some time off to work instead of play.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. It didn't happen last year. I hope so this year. Some other funds, or some other things we'd use with the township funds is the air conditioning. We had a big issue with the year before with the air conditioning inside the clubhouse, and we were able to replace the unit, Jim, we replaced the unit. So as far as the way that the air conditioner is sort of configured for that clubhouse, it's the best it can be right now, which is not 100%, but it's better than what it was. Go to the second page here with numbers. You can see we're at about 20,313 rounds, and that's 18 holes played, so that's combining 2 9-holes. The previous year, as a comparison, we're at about 19,000 rounds.
So that is 20,000 18-hole equivalents.
Yeah. It's like taking 2 9s, yep, and putting them together.
So 3394, that does not include concession, right?
No, that's just golf and cart, right?
That's pretty good, though. That's off.
It is. It's a lot better. And partly, you know, because obviously the golf courses, you know, we've improved the golf course and gotten it better. But I just think the whole state of golf, inflation, you know, you put that all together, prices have increased, and this is where we are. And you know, I think if you look back on the day too, when we first got here, the previous group had the prices too depressed. They weren't the proper price for that marketplace. So as we do with everything, we look at the marketplace, we look at course conditions, we can put that all together, and this is the pricing. So this
Yeah,
is
you
pretty
said
fair.
that when you were pitching it, and I didn't believe you. I didn't believe you could raise prices, but
Knock on wood, so far so good.
you were right.
You didn't know COVID was coming either.
Right.
I
Yeah.
predicted it.
Yeah. Yeah, we were very fortunate, for
I'd
sure.
be curious to see how many rounds were in 2000 and 2001.
I don't remember offhand, but
We probably have a report
Less.
somewhere in the archives.
I do have that book back. I have as far back as whatever Casper had back in the day, but I don't have it with me, but yeah, I could look that up. And then you can see our revenue from greens fees is about 689,000. I don't have what we did last year, but going forward, I do have some stuff per last year. So 220, so last year, 2021, our gross income was 991. The year before it was 755, so an increase of about $240,000. I don't have what our cost of goods sold was with the previous year, but you can see if you scroll down to the bottom, our net income is 173 this year. The previous year was 102,000.
So which one of those lines is the 75,000 that the township provides you? Is it in any of those lines?
Provides us as far as.
We give you a management fee of 75,000 a year.
Yeah, no, that's not in here.
Okay, so it's not on any of those lines.
Correct,
well, that would come out of net operating income, wouldn't it?
correct.
So our portion is 173,000 divided by 2.
Correct.
And then to get the real number, you have to subtract another 75,000.
Yeah, except that you would
So the
still have,
township is breaking even.
That's not really accurate.
No? Okay, well, let's do the math.
you'd still have to
Well,
hire
we are doing
somebody.
the math.
You'd
Well,
have to
let's do
hire, you'd have to hire a golf pro or a director of golf or somebody.
No, but I'm just for
do
the
that.
present status.
Sure,
I'm trying to understand, because when people ask me questions, I want to be able to answer them. So 173 divided by 2 equals 86,500.
yep,
All right, so we get 86,500 and we paid you 75. That's close to break even.
correct, yep.
No, I think it's apples and oranges. I mean, I know.
No,
what
it's
you-
not.
I know what you're trying
It's
to do.
called
Chuck, but-
financial analysis.
Well, I mean, but anyway.
It's not being made up.
The other alternative would just be to run it ourselves, and we'd be spending.
No,
a
that's
hell
not
of a
what I'm
lot more
saying.
than
I'm trying to
75,000,
understand
losing
the-
money at the same
No,
time.
we're not making
like
a
we did for
judgment on the
8 years
arrangement.
when you were here.
We're making a financial numbers. We're not judging the arrangement. We understand what the arrangement is, just to understand the numbers.
Okay, move on.
So in 2022, for this year, we did decrease the gross revenue. Once again, going back to what I was discussing with Bob and with Kurt a little bit before, I think there's going to be a decrease in play, but maybe not as much because once again, folks are still working from home. You still have that hybrid kind of stuff going on. St. John closing down for a year and a half. Moose Ridge out further west in South Lyon has converted to private. So there is an opportunity to garner some of that play that maybe would disappear going back to work, kids playing sports again, all those things I sort of described. But I don't think that's going to happen.
What about the course across from the landfill on 5 Mile in Salem?
Salem Hills.
Rayburn?
Rayburn? Is that closed? I thought that was going to close.
It's still in operation as far as last year goes. It's still there? Yeah, still there for now.
Okay. Do you see the St. John's, because the St. John's Golf Course is going to close this year. So, I mean, do you tap into that market at all, or is that a different?
I think the way it currently existed, we're going to garner, or I think we already have garnered some of those leagues.
Unfortunately,
More cattails, but
Yeah.
St. John's more of a nicer golf course, not that Hilltop's not a nice golf course, but that more expensive of a golf course.
Well, yeah, it's,
That's right.
yeah.
those players are going to maybe go, when they're done with their refurb, 7,200 yard golf course, 18, I mean, that's going to be a premium golf
Oh,
course.
for sure.
They're
Yeah,
going
I
to
mean-
attract a different group,
Yeah.
and some of those groups may stay at Hilltop and they may not at that time. We'll see what happens.
When is the closing period for St. John's?
This season, I believe.
No.
right? Yeah.
They're closed.
Yeah.
The golf
And
course.
so 2023, when will you reopen? Oh, spring.
It's gonna be a year and a half.
Yeah, they're closing this whole.
So half a
season.
season will be gone in 2023.
Yeah.
Could be worse if you have a labor shortage or you can't get the job done.
Be quiet.
Meteor strikes the earth. I don't know. COVID. So, okay, Tony.
So coming down, so this is our operational budget, so I want to be conservative because obviously we have to decide what course projects we're going to do, we have to make some decisions. So this is what I'm sort of calling our operational budget. It could be more, once again, I could be completely wrong as I was last year, and God bless, we ended up at over $1 million gross revenue. But this is what I'm pretty certain of that we can do based on last year's and even the previous year's record. So you see we're at 912 on the top on the gross. Cost of goods sold is just really parlayed per what the gross revenue is. Gross profit, then expenses. Expenses, if you notice, actually goes up even though revenues go down. And that's, once again, the thing about trying to get a little bit paying a little bit more in order to get more labor. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, labor is just tough right now. It really, really is.
So labor is restricting the number of rounds?
No, labor is restricting, really nothing to do with rounds because we were able to get through it last year. Labor is restricting the ability for me to decrease expenses. If I decrease revenue, sometimes we can decrease expenses. In this case, we cannot do that. Revenue is going to go down, maybe not. But per my assumption, if it does go down a little bit, we're still going to have to pay a little bit more for people just to get people hired. You're going to have to start out, instead of 10, 11, 12 bucks an hour, we're going to be at 13, 14, $15 an hour just for a card attendant, even higher, as Paul's over there
We're
indicating.
already there.
It's that kind of
Do you have to
market.
raise, are you talking about raising rates? I mean, is that where,
Bar
this-
with the
is that where
carts.
we're headed?
Yeah, Kurt, we'll get to that, absolutely. With the ability with the new carts, we can raise some revenue rates on that standpoint too. So I don't really have that baked into this gross revenue because once again, this is our operational budget. I wanted to be conservative on this side.
Okay.
So at the end of the day here for 2022, I'm forecasting, knock on wood, once again, another positive year, $97,000 at the end of the day. I don't think it'll get any worse. It could be better as all the stuff that we sort of touched on, price increases, additional play, leagues already being tapped up. In fact, Jim was telling me this evening that, for instance, our leagues are pretty much maxed out. In fact, he's got house leagues now that we've got 30 people on a waiting list to get on house leagues. So we have a pretty good demand going on right now. So we really need to get that labor number back up to service these people.
Do you foresee the price of gas as a factor here? People are going to want to go someplace closer to home than driving out far downriver or in Oakland County?
That could be, Kurt, it could be. What I've noticed at Hilltop, just comparing it to Cattails, it's really a community as it should be, a golf course. As soon as the rain breaks, the course is full. Hilltop, or Cattails is not like that. So folks do sort of see this as, hey, I see the sun's coming out, I can get out to Hilltop in 3 minutes because it's 5 minutes away from here, 5 minutes. I'll call up and get out there and get it. So I do see that sort of happening. But at the same time, from a global aspect, too much CNBC in the morning, I think there's a lot of pent-up demand for people to travel. I think people just want to.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Get out
what
of Dodge.
proportion of the golfers are from 48170?
We can find that out. I'm not sure, but you can look that up on Golf Now, right?
Do you have the analytics on?
Yeah, that would really be good to know.
That'd be interesting.
At least 3, maybe 4.
Percent?
No,
People.
He's trying to be funny.
1, 2, 3.
it's got to be something based on, because when they make online teen times, they have to give their zip code.
I mean, a lot of the senior players are definitely.
Right, but they don't have to tell you where they're from.
You're right, they don't have to tell us. Most people, they have their own profiles, have their stuff all over.
Well, if this charge
there
with
like
a
an
credit
affi-
card that's required.
If it's online.
There's
So
an
if it's
affinity
online teen time.
program, right?
We have it through Golf Now. So whoever's done an online tee time, I think they have to give their zip code.
Yeah.
So we'll have that. So another question would be, how many people make tee times online? I really don't know versus just calling up.
John, you have a question?
No, just one comment. You three gentlemen, our supervisor has provided oversight, and he has kept us advised as to the progress. I was a trustee 1988 to 1992. I can recall annual payments of the township into the golf course of $250,000 a year. $250,000. I was very dubious and very skeptical. I am a non-golfer. Okay? So, this is a success story. And I'm doubting Thomas. So, I want to thank you, and I appreciate the oversight of our supervisor
We still
and
have-
treasurer.
Yeah.
I think he's a non-golfer too, though.
No, I can do it. I'm just very terrible at it. So Mark Clinton is far better than I am. But we're not done yet here. So let's try to
So then,
move on.
going forward here to the next page, unless everybody has any more questions on the
No,
numbers.
we're good.
Okay.
Let's go.
So can you email us that with those analytics?
Tim, yeah, and then
Yeah.
either this week or
So-
next week, Bob, we'll send that out.
Yeah, no rush.
Okay.
So what percentage of the golfers are from 48170 and what percentage book online? Those are the two questions, I think.
All right.
The online service though is vastly improved from
I know, I
previous. I mean, you can do everything online. The website
Yeah.
is much better, but it's okay. It's not. It probably needs some improvement, but it's
was one of the-
far more user friendly.
That was one of those things, Kurt, in 2020, when COVID really hit and we were sort of half open there in April, May.
Yeah.
If you remember, we were drive up literally. The clubhouse was closed.
Yeah.
People would walk up to the window and show their ticket because all we were doing was online tee times.
Right.
So it really accelerated the whole process. You know, like you've heard other people talk about the technology. It accelerated the whole thing about online tee times and booking. So that was fantastic.
Okay.
New carts, we'll sort of skip to the second line here. So, the township has been a great partner with ours here for coming on our third year. I believe this is our third year. And with the new golf carts, as Kurt pointed out, it's going to make playability because the carts are going to be a little bit quicker than the old carts that we had on the golf course. But it'll give us the ability to bump up price a little bit based on the new golf carts. Hopefully at the same time talking about reducing expenses without that old fleet there now with the new fleet. Just look at our past history of 30 years at Cattails. We will have a little bit of a runway of about a year or two, or maybe even 3, where our expenses are going to be greatly diminished for cart maintenance versus previous years, just because the carts are brand new. So that'll be nice. We are considering GPS for the carts, and I got to tell you, as far as the municipality golf course goes, we'd be one of the few, for sure in Michigan, if not the country, to do that. So we are considering that, and that's something that, based on us from an AMV standpoint, we may look at doing that for the town. So we're just going through that process right now.
How much is that per cart?
I don't know Well, I could figure that out, Kurt, but I know for an annual basis, the full-blown GPS with the color screen is about $26,000 a year.
For the whole,
For the whole kit and caboodle, for the whole fleet for 3 years.
okay.
How
Now
does
you
that?
can, now you
Oh,
can
sorry.
advertise on that, you can do beverage orders on that, and it may reduce the need for a ranger, a golf
Correct.
ranger.
That could help the labor part of it a little bit, because then you would need quote-unquote, player assistants, as some courses call them, or rangers on the golf course maintaining pace of play with a GPS system on the carts, which there's a lower version of that too that does what I'm about to describe, where in the clubhouse you'd have a screen that shows you the golf course where all the carts are and tells you by color or by number how fast they're playing, if they're behind pace, up the pace, and then you can send messages. That says, please catch up to the group in front of you.
Get moving.
If you don't make the turn in 10, 15 minutes, we're going to have to ask you to stop, or, this is our third warning. We had it at Cattails back in the day. It was really nice because, folks who are in charge are able to make those kind of decisions versus sometimes the rangers just really don't understand exactly what's going on.
And this is detachable from the vehicle because you don't want it subjected to the elements, right? So it's kind of like an iPad or something?
It is. And then that secondary unit, that's almost half the cost. I believe it's about $14,000 a year. There's a unit that's literally a black box that sits under the seat inside the compartment that does not have the screen on the cart, but it has the management side of it inside the clubhouse. So you can see where pace of play is. So if somebody's slow, you can't send a message, but you can send somebody out directly to that group and say something.
Okay.
One of the challenges at Hilltop, when I used to golf it years ago in a league, was the number of walkers, which slow down the pace of play. So what have you guys done to help speed up?
That goes back up to the golf course. That's as Doug said, the limbing up the trees. You got to make the course more playable. It's so penal right now that if you miss a fairway, your ball's lost. You look for the ball. If some folks are really, really rules oriented, you got to go back to the spot. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's where we need to make the golf course, as we have been doing, more and more playable kind of thing. Walkers, it's a good and bad thing. You want people to walk because it's more enjoyable for some folks, but on the other hand, if they're not maintaining pace, it is an issue, for sure. We are also testing through our app that's online. The Golf Now does have a food ordering app. We've used it before at our other course. We may try to do it over here where you can order food at the 8th or 9th hole. So when you come to the turn at the clubhouse, it's ready to go. You pay for it online. You just pick it up and go. So that could help with pace of play. And then you see some of the suggested improvements we have for 2022. The carpeting inside the clubhouse needs to be replaced, or definitely a deep kind of, or multiple cleaning kind of thing. Right now, the one quote we have, or multiple quotes, is about $7,000. Yep.
What if you went with a hard surface instead of carpet?
Pardon? It could be. We have that at
You find one that's not slippery?
Yeah, we could. There's a vinyl, like wood look kind of stuff. We can find that out. That's something we can do. We can put roll up. Now, the problem is, to Jim's point, is you do walk in with plastic spikes. So that's unlike most places. I'm not sure how that would be, if that could be slippery.
When we had our pavilion at Township Park, we had some kind, whatever the surface that we had, it stained very easily, and that you could never get the stains out. So we actually pulled it all up and went with a more of a concrete, look.
Or epoxy. At Total
Epoxy is
Sports,
what
we get over 1 million folks coming through there. We're ripping out our old vinyl tile and just probably going to go with an epoxy covering for all those reasons.
Yeah.
And it doesn't slip with the spikes?
At Total, it's different though. So we're going to put the sand in it, so it makes it a little bit rough. And then we have the walk-off carpets when you walk up too. And it's a good 90 feet to 100 feet till you get to that part of it. So there's a little bit of a runway, if you want to call it, till you get to that surface. Obviously at Hilltop, it's not, but we could put the roll-up carpets. But we'll find a cost on a hard surface versus a carpet, because the hard surface is going to last longer, no matter if it's vinyl tile or epoxy, for sure. And it'll be easier to clean too.
Is this list rank ordered?
No. Nope, there's no order to it.
Probably be a good idea to rank order it.
Yeah, yes. Well, if I had to, I'll tell you right now, and I'm looking at the guy's trees.
Well, cart pass first because of the new carts.
There you go. Thank you, Doug. So car pass, $5,500. That's to continue the repairs and additions. We use that recycled asphalt. I thought that was really good. It worked out well for us. If that's something that we want to continue as a group, as Doug said, that would be the number one option.
So this is ground up asphalt from a road surface.
Yeah, like I think they call it milled asphalt.
There was a big pile at 275 in Ann Arbor Road.
Tree maintenance, number two. Tree maintenance, number two. And that's something that's just ongoing. We do some of that stuff in-house or some of that stuff through third party. That's what that comes out to. Drains, we're continuing to, as I said before, replace and repair drains. Overall, if you look at the course, drainage there in the spring, once again, when the season is always like this in April and May, and God forbid you have a wet summer, cart paths, drainage go hand in hand together in order to get people out there as quickly as you can. I'm sure you guys know right now that sometimes in the spring the course is open, but it's walking only, Tee boxes. We really like to build up the tee boxes. Going back to the pace of play, there's been a big push over the past 5-10 years, playing the right tees. So you see a lot of courses now that have 4 or 5 different tees on a tee box or multiple tees. A lot more courses now are even using their same tees, but using multiple tees. So instead of playing white tees or blue tees, you can have something that's a hybrid, and they'll have it pointed out between the whites and the blues, and you go back and forth as a way to get people more yardages, more comfort in playing a yardage that's a little bit closer, all those kind of things, once again, to improve pace of play. National Golf Foundation has pointed out, which is really obvious, the golf pre-COVID, the issue was it just took too long to play. So those are one of the things that we're trying to get back into at Hilltop.
So tee boxes have to be done by a contractor, or your employees do that?
Doug, our superintendent of 30-something years of experience, can do that in a heartbeat.
One of
2 heartbeats.
One of the things that we're going to
Hopefully
recommend,
not your last heartbeat.
one of the things I'm going to recommend to the board in the next couple weeks is, and this is well known to them because it was one of our goals for this year, is to at least begin the discussion about a new entrance off of Ann Arbor Trail. There was an entrance there once before. It was removed. I think the current exit entrance off of Powell is increasingly dangerous. Traffic on Beck is not going to decline in the years ahead, and I think we can do a better job. And I think it's also a maintenance issue because Powell Road is a constant maintenance headache. I think we're paying Wayne County now $13,000 or $15,000 a year for the wonderful maintenance work that they do there. And so it would be nice to look at something new, and I think we have to do it in a more methodical and thoughtful process than how we approached it last year, which would be, we need to sit down, if the board is good with this, that I, myself, maybe Jerry or Mark would have to sit down with the homeowners association to the south, across the street, and talk to them about this in more detail, and make the pitch that the clubhouse is not an attractive nuisance. It's not going to bring in an undesirable element, and that it can really become more of a neighborhood amenity for the folks who live around there. So I just think we have to explain it better, market it better, and get more folks to buy into it, because the history behind it is that prior to that neighborhood being built to the south, the entrance was working, and I guess when the neighborhood was built to the south, that people did not like the traffic, the image, the downside that entrance brought at that time in history. We still need to work with Wayne County and our engineers on traffic, on safety issues on Ann Arbor Trail. It's not foolproof, so we have to make sure that whatever we were to build there would also be safe as well. But I have to think that the Powell-Beck intersection is just going to get worse for us.
Like good news, bad news, Kurt, 100%, because you can see we've doubled the revenue in 3 years. If we continue to do, God willing, well on the golf course and continue to improve the revenue, it's going to become, because more players are playing it. And coincidentally, Monday through Friday, the most people come out are after work. Beck Road is the busiest after work. That intersection is just a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Do you get feedback from your customers at all?
About the dirt road we do, yeah.
But not about the intersection?
Intersection's very dangerous whenever
No, I wanted to know what his customers were telling him.
We get both, the intersection and dirt road. We get both.
You get both.
Yeah, I get complaints regularly about, the intersection and then the road condition, the dirt road condition, all the time.
We get both. The making, if you're coming in from the north, making that left turn in there for the leagues in the afternoon is dangerous. And then when you have to exit pre-league or 4 or 5 o'clock, making the left turn out of Powell going south, that's dangerous also. And then the road itself, for such a short road, is just not well kept,
Okay, anything else at this point? So this would be basically your wish list for, we have additional funding. So
Well, on the bottom there, Kurt, to your point, folks are coming out there already in a heartbeat when the weather breaks and come out. Some other municipal golf courses have a little bit of a patio out there, a little bit more of a place to literally hang out. If you did the patio lighting outside, we already have the bar, we already have the liquor license, you already have a little bit of an indoor component. Somewhere down the road, it'd be nice to just completely start over with that clubhouse, but maybe another time, another day. But you can do something on the outside. So you can see down here, just to make that a little bit more of a focal point, at least for 8 months out of the year or 7 months out of the year, with a nicer patio, a nicer putting green. All the resort golf courses are going to these large, super large putting greens where they put 9 holes out there as a putt-putt kind of thing. So I can envision a husband and wife with their kids coming out there, having a glass of wine or a beer and having their kids putt or vice versa. The mom and dads, or the kids are sitting there drinking a pop or having a hot dog. Whatever the thing is, I think there's huge opportunity there that we're missing by doing some of this stuff over there, I think.
That sort of neighborhood park recreation element that we really just don't have right now. That would be really nice. We are looking at some some used equipment. I know you're looking to replace some of your turf equipment. We're in discussions with some current golf course operators regarding maybe a purchase of gently used equipment, but we'll see what happens with that.
You mean Plymouth Township is going to purchase it?
Yeah.
That'll be a first, right? Other than the carts. We don't normally buy equipment out there. What?
The existing equipment is.
Townships.
You mean the mowers?
Yeah.
Mowers are ours?
Yes.
I think you
So
bought it with forfeiture funds.
anyway, so we are looking at some gently used equipment from other courses, and I'll keep you updated on that. But I am in discussions. Let's see, rototiller thingy.
That's just a wish list for us, and that could be dependent on the cart paths.
Okay.
Right, it's a preemptive.
I think we decided to not have that through NFD
Us.
as opposed to
Okay,
through Plymouth Township.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
so you can strike that. We'll do that, if we're gonna do that tiller, we'll do that through our company.
You would buy your own tiller.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty then.
Are you gonna
Any
rent?
other questions for Tony? See, we're competing with the Inn at St. John, so I'm a little disappointed you guys are still sticking around for this, because now you know what we're up to.
Check out the competition.
And we,
Outdoor patio.
we'll,
Well, he's the architect, he doesn't care who's
we're
paying the
trying.
bill.
I know.
We're trying.
As I said, I feel like the Who following Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, really.
Best I can do.
That's it. Any other questions for Tony? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. When does our contract with you expire?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
That might be something we might want to think
Look
about.
at this year.
And maybe extending their contract.
Yeah.
So we're not doing anything tonight, but something that we may want to look at later this year.
Absolutely, Kurt. It's built into the agreement, so if that's
Okay.
something we can look at 100%.
We'll have our lawyer
We're all
look at
about
it too.
Thank you.
Okay, then, thank you very much. We're going to move on, public comment, limited
So
to 3
Kurt,
minutes.
we're going to discuss what the items are that we're going to spend money on this year? Or are you going to make that decision yourself with Mark?
Can do it both ways. I mean, we can have that discussion. I would really want to run all of this by Mark, though, Mark Clinton. Yeah, before we
And
do.
the board.
Before we commit
Because
to
remember, we don't have as much money as you think we do.
Oh, yes.
We don't have really 75,000 to spend.
Oh, dear. Okay, well.
Can we spend ARPA money on this?
No, we can't.
No,
So,
even if it's
No.
capital.
no. Okay, so public comment, board comments, Bob? John Stewart? All set?
Well, no,
Ready to
wait,
go?
so somebody's out there.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I am very sorry, sorry. Didn't see you coming.
Hi, Anna Steele, Waverly Drive. In regards to the Elks Club development, I have a quick request of the board. I know the meetings and study sessions and things are going on, and that's wonderful. I understand that the roads are owned by Wayne County, and you guys did put a preemptive post on your Facebook page, which was great, telling the people who lived in areas where there's going to be flooding and everything going on because of the weather, to reach out to Wayne County for those roads. I understand that. I've put in multiple service requests, so have other people. The reason I'm bringing it up in reference to that specific agenda item is that these streets that we're referring to, Furwood, General Drive, and East Side Drive, I would implore any resident, anyone on the board to please go out and take a drive down those streets. They are horrible. They're icy. Multiple people have fallen. The UPS trucks, the semis, they're going into people's yards. The area of the proposed entrance, the all-access entrance from Ann Arbor Road, which will be heavily used anytime there's a train or people just want to cut through from Ann Arbor Road to get to Ann Arbor Trail, it is completely flooded out and iced out right now. Exactly where their gate is going to be, it's a mess. And then that's spilling over all over the place there. So if anyone can take an opportunity to just drive down those streets, it's a true illustration of exactly what's going on.
I know Jerry Vorva and I walk that neighborhood at least once a year when we're just out meeting folks. I've walked that neighborhood personally at least a dozen times. The roads are in terrible condition. They are one of the last remaining dirt road neighborhoods in the township. Wayne County is called out there frequently to do road grading and repairs, but it will never be what it should be unless it eventually gets paved. And we are looking at options as part of the Elks Lodge development project, whereby the developer and the residents would have to pay a certain share of that building cost for the road, curb and gutter, and sidewalks for that neighborhood. But that's still very much a work in progress right now. We don't know where the Elks Lodge project is headed. We've had internal meetings with them, and we've presented some alternatives to them that they may or may not accept. So we're waiting really now. The ball is in their court. They have to respond to us as to whether they agree with our changes. But one of the things that we've insisted on is that they have to pave or heavily assist in the paving of your neighborhood to the north. Furwood, General, East Lawn, and Michael.
I appreciate all of that. It's not my neighborhood.
Okay.
But it concerns me because I can see it from my yard and I can see the danger. And I've seen accidents happen in those other yards all the time. Yeah. But when you say you've walked those areas, I appreciate that. Right now is the time to walk them, because I can tell you right now, it's not walkable. It's not safe.
Absolutely,
And
we agree.
I will send you guys some photos and videos. It's really bad.
Yeah, no, we agree, and we report this to Wayne County, and they have to come out and fix the roads. We don't do it.
Right, but at this point, as they continue to fix the road, they're adding and grading, and then that water goes off into people's yards. So it is a temporary fix, and they've been great as far as receiving the calls and addressing the problem, but like you said, unless it's paved. But at the same time, if it's paved, you open up from Ann Arbor Road into a neighborhood.
So be careful what you wish for.
Precisely. What people really wish for is not so much for it to be paved, they want it to be safe. Whatever needs to be done, I understand that, but what they're asking is not to have that road be an open road.
Well, and that gets to the development itself, which
Understood.
is a
So
different
that's another
subject.
issue, but I would love for anyone to come out there and take a look at it.
We did investigate a special assessment district that would just involve that neighborhood, and it would be about $34,000 per house. So we're trying to find a way to alleviate that as much as possible, and this development to the south, the so-called Elks Lodge development, might be a vehicle to accomplish that, which would provide safety and increase property values for everybody. So, but again, very much a work in progress. John Stewart.
Excuse me, you are Anne Marie Steele?
I am.
I was looking for your phone number today, and it was not in the email. Two things. Number one, I want to thank you for your very reasonable and very civil email. We likewise received a very detailed response from the supervisor. I can't imagine the number of hours that are going to go into the negotiation. And all I can hope for, the major goal, delicate compromise, and I hope somewhere down the line, and this is months away or maybe years away, consensus. So thank you, and please keep up the good communication with our supervisor.
Thanks so much, John.
He's very good at that.
Appreciate it.
All righty, thank you. Anybody else? All righty, now we'll move on to board comments. Bob Dorshevitz?
No, for the second time.
Ah, there you go. John? Okay, Jerry?
I'm fine.
Okay. Chuck Kermy?
Jerry, our drop box out here, I'm thinking of the August election drop box for ballots.
Yep,
How is that monitored? Does it have a camera 24 hours a day on it?
absolutely.
And is it recorded and saved?
Yep,
And who looks at it?
Police.
the police.
What do you
So
look
we had
during
actual-
election time? What do you look for?
Kermie.
I'm
we
trying
had-
to, I'm trying to prepare
Yeah,
here for
Chuck, yeah.
August.
We had several FOIAs by different organizations, and we went to the police department and said, please save this from this certain period of time. And so they've been very responsive, and they saved that for almost a whole year. And so anytime that we need access to that, we can have it. But it's monitored several times a day. I go out there several times a day and empty it during the election process. And so, and there's a 24-hour camera on it.
All right.
Okay.
When are the assessment notices being mailed?
Soon.
Yeah, it should be any day.
Like any day now.
Yeah.
The Board of Review is second week in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going out soon. Okay. All set?
Yep.
Okay. So, let's see. We are going to cancel the March 1st study session. And I am going to add a March 29th study session. That's tentative, and that's if we need it for the Elks Lodge project. That would be a study session for us to meet the developers, listen to public comment, and basically kind of make it like the planning commission meeting all over again. No votes would be taken that night.
So you will be taking public comment on March 29th?
As of now, yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
if we end up
still-
having it.
If I just want to set that date now so that we're not scrambling to set that at the last minute. Then, as I look out towards the month of March, our next meeting is March 8th. We'll have the Planning Commission annual report. That should just be a receive and file. Fire code second reading, that should be easy. We will be doing a public hearing on the ARPA funding, okay? So that's the COVID money from the federal government. I'm treating that just like we would our budget. And we'll get public input, and we'll advertise it. It'll be posted.
It's in the
It's in the
paper.
newspaper.
What
Put it
date is
on
this proposed?
March 8th. It's a normal meeting night for us. And then we will have, after that, we'll have a discussion about ARPA funding in general, and just kind of get some direction from the board on what we would like to see or not see. So very transparent. I'm treating it like just like we would the budget, because I worry about the federal government down the road, years from now. I don't think we're ever going to be audited in the true sense that they're promising us that we're not going to be fully audited, but they're still going to want to see that we made every effort to involve the public and go through a regular format budgeting type process that we would normally have. And then looking out at March 22nd, that would be the sidewalk public hearing for the 2022 sidewalk replacement program.
When did that letter go out?
Any day now.
Oh, it hasn't gone out yet?
No, it's coming out because we just got the stuff.
We just got the bids.
We got the stuff from engineering.
So will you send a copy to me? I'd like to see it.
Yeah, Jeremy
Are you
can do
in-
that.
Are you in that zone?
No,
He's not.
Okay,
but I just thought, that way we know
sure.
That's the green,
what, when you get a call from a resident, you know what they've received.
yeah,
Some pro forma.
yep. I think Jeremy can provide that as well. You'll follow up with that. All right, that's all we have right now. I think we're good. I'm gonna entertain a motion to adjourn, John.
So moved. Motion to
Motion
adjourn.
by John Stewart, seconded by
Me.
Jerry Vorba. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.